one of the driving concerns was that of health. But we couldn't appeal this to the Board of Supervisors based on health concerns because of the 1996 Telecommunications Act. So we had to find another platform upon which the board could make a justifiable reason to deny the installation of an antenna.
A lot of my customers live in the neighborhood. They have children going to the schools in the neighborhood. And it has already put a negative influence on my customers who are supporting me for 18 years in business on Fillmore Street. I'm also a Sprint user, and my reception is just fine.
I am particularly nervous about the potential danger I will be exposed to, given that I am within a direct beam length of the proposed site. I have a Sprint cell phone and Sprint cell phone service, and I get perfect service in the area.
At one point in the hearing, one of the supervisors, Matt Gonzalez, began calling the neighbors back who were there to testify in the hearing and asking them specifically about their cell phone coverage in the neighborhood.
Okay, and how about Pacific between Buchanan and Webster?
Yes, I've had complete clarity on my Sprint phone in that area.
How long have you had the phone, sir?
6 months.
Okay, thank you. Could you tell me what area specifically you're able to get service?
My experience is that when I'm inside my home, I can receive phone calls, and I can make phone calls inside my home and outside as well.
What about on the street?
On the street is perfectly fine.
Okay.
To give you an idea of the current coverage.
When it became time for the cell phone company to testify, the representative showed a coverage map with black dots on it that he claimed indicated where there was no coverage, cell phone coverage, in our neighborhood. And based on the previous testimony, that's when Matt Gonzalez began to ask the representative some questions.
You heard the previous speaker indicate that he has Sprint service and has been able to get coverage or access on Buchanan between Clay and Jackson. Do you know that area?
Yes.
And is it possible that he's telling the truth?
Yes, it is. Yes, and that would depend on the time of day too. As I said earlier, you may have coverage during non-busy hours, but when it gets busy, the traffic will, and coverage will decrease.
That's fine. How about between Jackson, between Buchanan and Webster? Would your comments also apply to that?
I would have to look at the coverage out there. I'm not familiar with that.
Well, the speaker likewise said that he was able to get coverage in that area.
Right. That's very possible, but again, it depends on the time of day, and it may not be the quality of service that we really need, because if it goes through busy hour and at night, then he won't have the good quality coverage that may break up in and out.
The problem I'm having with the existing coverage map that you've afforded us is that you have black dots on the map indicating no service, but you've just conceded that this is a question of at what time of day these calls are being made. So I think it's highly misleading, and I'm certainly going to urge my colleagues not to consider it.
Yes,
I believe, frankly, that Sprint has not proven that there is necessity at all for this antenna. The need that they're talking about is Sprint's market share. It is not the neighborhood's need.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Amiano.
Sprint has given us information, a chart trying to lay out really where they do not have service in this particular area, and as a result of hearing testimony from I believe Mr. Moretta, they suddenly concede that really the chart doesn't speak to no service, it speaks to the quality of the service. And I am highly offended by the fact that one of the parties in this case has essentially brought forward information with all these black dots, and it's not until after being questioned that they suddenly say, oh, you know, we've changed that. That's not acceptable to me, and I tell you that when a party appears before a quasi-judicial body or judicial body and makes any kind of misrepresentation like that, That's something that should be remembered in the future. On the question of this notion of seamless coverage, I want to emphasize that is not the standard here. If that were the standard, then a local authority would under no occasion have the right to say or deny a request to build an antenna. That's clearly not the standard. Gaps are allowable. The question is, are they substantial gaps? And in this record, once I reject the chart put together by Sprint and I accept the testimony from at least 2 residents in the area saying they do have coverage, I think it's really an easy issue.
Colleagues, everyone's had their say. We would need a motion.
We needed 8 votes from the supervisors to win our appeal. A yes vote would mean that the antennas would not be installed. A no vote would mean that the antennas would go in as planned, and we in the neighborhood would live with the radiation.